The suburban landscape stretched before Admiral Zornak, like an incomprehensible tapestry of mundane complexity. Earth's atmospheric composition burned slightly in his respiratory membranes, a constant reminder that he was an intruder in this deceptively simple environment. His advanced cloaking technology, the pride of the Galactic Hegemony's reconnaissance division, hummed almost imperceptibly around his observation unit. Zornak had been dispatched on what initially seemed like a routine mission. The Hegemony's intelligence corps had grown increasingly concerned about humanity's rapid technological progression. In the last 3 stellar cycles, humans had made quantum leaps that defied conventional galactic development patterns. Their communication networks, computational systems, and adaptive technologies suggested a species on the brink of something extraordinary or potentially dangerous. The playground before him appeared unremarkable. Weathered swing sets creaked in a gentle breeze. Faded primary-colored equipment dotted a landscape of carefully maintained grass and worn dirt patches. To an untrained eye, it might seem like a simple recreational area. To Zornak, it was a complex ecosystem of potential and unpredictability. His multispectral sensory arrays scanned the environment with precision that would make human technology seem primitive. Quantum-entangled observation nodes captured every microscopic detail: the movement of dust particles, the subtle electromagnetic exchanges between children, the intricate social dynamics unfolding in real time. Each data point fed into a complex algorithm designed to assess potential threat levels. But something was different about this observation. The Hegemony's previous reports had been clinical, detached. Statistical analyses of human capabilities that reduced an entire species to numerical projections and probability matrices. Zornak had read thousands of such reports during his centuries-long career. This mission was supposed to be another data collection exercise, another checkbox in the vast bureaucratic machine of galactic intelligence gathering. Yet, as he watched the children move and interact, a strange sensation crawled through his neural pathways. It was something his species had no direct translation for, a human concept called curiosity that seemed to transcend pure information gathering. A group of children near the central play structure caught his attention. They weren't just playing. They were engaged in a complex social negotiation that defied the simplistic models in the Hegemony's databases. Each movement, each gesture carried layers of meaning that his most advanced translation matrices struggled to fully comprehend. The camouflage field around his observation unit adjusted automatically, matching the surrounding environment with microscopic precision. To any human passing by, nothing would seem out of the ordinary. Just another quiet afternoon in suburban normalcy. But Zornak knew better. Something fundamental was happening here. Something that would challenge everything the Galactic Hegemony understood about intelligent life. And he was about to uncover it, one microscopic observation at a time. His 6-fingered hand hovered above the primary data interface, ready to capture what promised to be the most important reconnaissance report of his entire career. Emily Rodriguez stood at the epicenter of controlled chaos, her copper-red hair catching the afternoon sunlight like a beacon of pure potential. To Zornak's meticulously calibrated sensory arrays, she was far more than a simple child. She was a living algorithm, a dynamic system of social intelligence that defied every predictive model in the Hegemony's extensive database. The game currently in progress looked like pure randomness to the untrained observer, but the Admiral's advanced analytical systems began to detect intricate patterns, a complex social protocol that was equal parts negotiation, strategy, and collaborative problem-solving. Emily moved with a precision that suggested leadership without dominance, guidance without control. Around her, 5 other children formed a dynamic ecosystem of interaction. Marcus, a thin boy with glasses, served as the group's computational core. His fingers moved almost imperceptibly, tracking some internal calculation that seemed to inform the game's evolving rules. Sophia, with her dark curly hair and intense focus, acted as the group's creative catalyst, constantly introducing unexpected variables that transformed the game's structure. Zornak's translation matrix worked overtime, attempting to decode the layered communication happening before him. It wasn't just verbal exchange. Each gesture, each subtle shift in body language carried multiple levels of meaning. The children weren't just playing a game. They were engaged in a sophisticated social experiment that would make the most advanced hegemony diplomatic training look like a rudimentary communication exercise. A dispute erupted near the swing set. Where Zornak expected conflict, he witnessed something far more remarkable. Emily didn't impose a solution. Instead, she facilitated a discussion that allowed each child to feel heard, to contribute, to find a collaborative path forward. The resolution wasn't about winning or losing, but about collective understanding. His neural pathways began to recalibrate. The hegemony's understanding of intelligence had always been hierarchical, structured, predictable. But these children operated on a completely different paradigm. They were adaptive systems, constantly rewriting their own operational protocols in real time. Marcus suddenly called out a complex mathematical probability related to their game. Instead of dismissing him, the other children leaned in, incorporating his calculation into their play. Sophia introduced a creative twist that transformed the game's entire dynamic. A less observant species might have seen mere child's play. Zornak saw the fundamental building blocks of innovation. The quantum-entangled observation nodes feeding data to his system began to overheat. They were struggling to process the sheer complexity of what was unfolding. Each child brought a unique strength to the group: the analytical thinker, the creative problem solver, the social navigator, the empathetic listener. They weren't competing. They were collaborating in a way that amplified each individual's potential. Emily laughed, a sound that sent cascading data spikes through Zornak's systems. It wasn't just an expression of joy. It was a communication protocol, a social signal that bound the group together more effectively than any forced hierarchy could achieve. For the first time in his extensive career, Admiral Zornak felt something akin to genuine wonder. These weren't just children. They were the living embodiment of a species' true potential: adaptive, collaborative, fundamentally revolutionary. The complexity unfolding before Zornak's sensory arrays defied every predictive model in the hegemony's extensive archives. What appeared to be a simple playground interaction was, in fact, a profound demonstration of adaptive intelligence that made the Admiral's extensive training feel suddenly inadequate. As the children's game progressed, Zornak's translation matrix struggled to keep pace. It wasn't just language being exchanged. It was a multi-layered communication protocol that integrated verbal exchanges, body language, contextual understanding, and collective problem-solving into a seamless cognitive dance. A momentary conflict arose between two of the children, Jake and Alina, over the game's evolving rules. In the hegemony's standard conflict resolution protocols, such a disagreement would trigger a hierarchical intervention, with a senior member imposing a definitive solution. But here, something entirely different occurred. Emily moved with a fluidity that suggested leadership without authority. Her approach wasn't about establishing dominance, but about facilitating understanding. She listened to Jake's perspective, a passionate argument about the game's mechanical fairness, and then to Alina's emotional reasoning about inclusive participation. The Admiral's neural network captured every nuanced interaction, every subtle shift in communication dynamics. The quantum-entangled observation nodes began to overheat, struggling to process the intricate social algorithm unfolding before them. Jake's logical argument integrated with Alina's emotional perspective, guided by Emily's diplomatic mediation. They weren't just resolving a conflict. They were collectively evolving their social intelligence in real time. Zornak's historical databases contained millennia of diplomatic records from hundreds of advanced civilizations. None of them demonstrated the level of adaptive communication he was witnessing in these children. Their ability to simultaneously hold multiple perspectives, to compromise without losing individual agency, was nothing short of revolutionary. Marcus, the group's analytical mind, began introducing mathematical probabilities into the conflict resolution. His calculations weren't meant to prove a point, but to provide a framework for mutual understanding. Sophia, always the creative catalyst, transformed these probabilities into a new set of game rules that addressed both Jake and Alina's concerns. The Admiral's neural pathways began to recalibrate. The hegemony's understanding of intelligence had always been linear, hierarchical, structured. But these children operated on a completely different paradigm, a dynamic fluid system of collective problem-solving that was exponentially more sophisticated than any structured diplomatic protocol. A subtle electromagnetic exchange caught Zornak's attention. The children weren't just communicating verbally or through physical gestures. There was an intricate web of social energy, of unspoken understanding, that bound them together more effectively than any forced cooperation could achieve. Emily's laugh, a sound that defied standard communication protocols, rippled through the group. It wasn't just an expression of joy, but a complex social signal that reinforced group cohesion, reset emotional tensions, and signaled collective achievement. For the first time in his extensive career, Admiral Zornak experienced something beyond pure data collection. It was a moment of genuine revelation. These weren't just children playing a game. They were living proof of a species' extraordinary potential for adaptive, collaborative intelligence. The conflict that erupted was nothing short of a miniature diplomatic crisis. Three distinct visions for the game's future collided with a force that would have shattered lesser social structures. Yet, in the microcosm of this suburban playground, something extraordinary was about to happen. Jake demanded a rules-based approach, his analytical mind craving structure and predictability. Alina sought emotional resonance, arguing for a game that made everyone feel included and valued. Sophia, the group's creative outlier, proposed a radical reimagining that seemed to come from somewhere beyond conventional thinking. Zornak's advanced sensory systems captured every microscopic detail of the unfolding drama. His translation matrix worked overtime, attempting to decode the layers of communication that went far beyond simple verbal exchange. This was more than a disagreement. It was a live demonstration of human cognitive flexibility. Emily Rodriguez stood at the center of the brewing storm, her copper-red hair catching the sunlight like a beacon of potential. The Admiral's neural pathways tingled with anticipation. Where other leadership systems would impose order through force or hierarchical mandate, Emily was about to demonstrate something entirely different. "Let's hear everyone out," she said, her voice carrying a combination of authority and invitation that defied the Admiral's understanding of leadership. Jake began to explain his perspective, his hands moving in precise mathematical gestures. He wanted clear rules, defined outcomes, a system that could be logically predicted and understood. Alina countered with an emotional landscape of inclusion. Her argument wasn't about winning or losing, but about how the game made each participant feel. She spoke of fairness that went beyond mathematical precision, of a social experience that valued each individual's unique contribution. Sophia's proposal was a wild card, a creative solution that seemed to emerge from the space between logic and emotion. She suggested a dynamic game structure that could change based on the group's collective mood, a concept so alien to Zornak's understanding that his primary cognitive processors momentarily stuttered. The quantum-entangled observation nodes feeding data to the Admiral's system began to overheat. They were witnessing something beyond standard conflict resolution, a collaborative problem-solving approach that didn't seek to eliminate differences, but to transform them into a greater whole. Emily didn't choose a side. Instead, she facilitated a dialogue that allowed each perspective to be fully heard, fully understood. Marcus, the group's mathematical mind, began to translate the different viewpoints into a series of probabilistic scenarios. Sophia introduced creative elements that transformed the rigid potential outcomes into a fluid, adaptive system. Slowly, almost imperceptibly, a new game began to take shape. It wasn't Jake's rigid system, nor was it purely Alina's emotional landscape. It wasn't even entirely Sophia's creative reimagining. It was something else entirely. A collaborative creation that incorporated the strengths of each perspective. Zornak's historical databases contained millennia of diplomatic records from hundreds of advanced civilizations, None of them had demonstrated this level of adaptive intelligence. These children weren't just resolving a conflict. They were creating something entirely new, something that transcended the sum of its parts. The Admiral's neural pathways began to recalibrate. This was more than a simple playground interaction. This was a live demonstration of humanity's most profound capability, the ability to transform conflict into creativity, to find unity in diversity. The technological metaphor unfolding before Zornak was nothing short of a cosmic revelation. Each interaction on the playground became a living blueprint of human innovation, a dynamic system of problem-solving that defied every established understanding of intelligent development. A dropped ball wasn't just an accident. It was an opportunity for radical reimagining. Marcus caught the ball mid-fall, his fingers already calculating trajectories and potential game modifications. Where another system might have simply returned the ball to its original path, these children saw a chance for transformation. Sophia's creative mind immediately suggested a new rule incorporating the unexpected movement. Alina considered how the change might impact the group's emotional dynamics. Zornak's quantum analysis systems struggled to process the complexity. This was adaptive intelligence in its purest form, a collaborative approach to problem-solving that made the hegemony's most advanced strategic protocols look like primitive line drawings. The ball became more than a simple piece of playground equipment. It was a metaphorical representation of human potential, something that could be dropped, reimagined, transformed. Each child brought a unique perspective to its unexpected trajectory. Marcus provided mathematical precision. Sophia offered creative reinterpretation. Helena ensured emotional inclusivity. Jake demanded structural integrity. Emily orchestrated these diverse perspectives with a skill that would make the most sophisticated diplomatic corps in the galaxy weep with inadequacy. She didn't suppress differences. She amplified them, creating a synergistic whole that was exponentially more powerful than its individual components. The Admiral's historical databases began to recalibrate. Centuries of galactic observation had taught the hegemony to view intelligence as a linear, predictable system. But these children demonstrated something far more profound. Intelligence as a fluid, adaptive, collaborative process. A sudden gust of wind caught the ball, sending it spinning in an unexpected direction. Where another group might have seen this as a disruption, these children saw it as an invitation to innovation. Marcus quickly calculated the wind's impact. Sophia imagined new game mechanics that could incorporate the unexpected movement. Alina considered how the change might affect the group's collective experience. Zornak's sensory arrays captured microscopic details, the electromagnetic exchanges between the children, the subtle shifts in body language, the complex communication that went far beyond verbal exchange. This was a living, breathing system of collective intelligence that adapted in real time. The ball's unexpected journey became a metaphor for human technological development. Each challenge was an opportunity. Each limitation was a potential for transformation. The children didn't just solve problems, they reimagined them entirely. His neural pathways tingled with a sensation that defied his species' understanding, something humans might call wonder. These weren't just children playing a game. They were demonstrating a fundamental approach to existence that was nothing short of revolutionary. The hegemony's most advanced predictive models would be utterly useless against this type of adaptive intelligence. These children were living proof that true innovation wasn't about rigid systems or predetermined outcomes. It was about collaboration, creativity, and the endless potential to reimagine what was possible. Zornak realized he was witnessing something far more significant than a simple playground interaction. This was a glimpse into the fundamental nature of human potential, a cosmic revelation that would challenge everything the galactic hegemony understood about intelligent life. The mandatory report to the galactic hegemony would be more than a simple intelligence brief. It would be a philosophical declaration that would shake the very foundations of their civilization's understanding of intelligent life. Zornak's neural processors compiled the collected data, each quantum-entangled observation node feeding into a complex narrative that defied every established protocol of intelligence assessment. The playground wasn't just a location. It was a living laboratory of human potential. His preliminary notes began to take shape, each line a carefully constructed challenge to the hegemony's rigid hierarchical worldview. The children's interactions demonstrated a form of social intelligence that rendered the most advanced diplomatic training obsolete. They didn't just communicate, they evolved collectively, transforming challenges into opportunities with a fluidity that bordered on the miraculous. The hegemony's standard assessment matrices would break down completely when confronted with this data. How could they quantify a system of intelligence that was simultaneously logical and emotional, structured and creative, individual and collective? Marcus's mathematical precision, Sophia's creative leaps, Alina's emotional intelligence, Jake's analytical thinking. Each child represented a different approach to problem-solving that somehow merged into a unified, adaptive whole. Emily Rodriguez stood at the center of this cognitive storm, a conductor of human potential that defied every established understanding of leadership. She didn't command, she facilitated. She didn't impose, she inspired. Her ability to navigate complex social dynamics made the hegemony's most sophisticated leadership protocols look like primitive communication attempts. The report would challenge everything. The hegemony had always viewed intelligence as a hierarchical system, a clear chain of command, predetermined roles, rigid structures that maintained order through control. But these children demonstrated something entirely different. Their intelligence was fluid, adaptive, collaborative, a living system that transformed itself in real time. Zornak's historical databases began to crack under the weight of this new understanding. Centuries of galactic observation, thousands of encountered civilizations, and yet nothing had prepared him for this moment. The human approach to intelligence wasn't about domination or control. It was about collective growth, about amplifying individual potential through collaborative understanding. Each line of the report became a potential catalyst for a fundamental shift in galactic understanding. The children's ability to resolve conflicts, to transform challenges, to create innovative solutions. These weren't just isolated skills. They were a fundamental approach to existence that made the hegemony's most advanced systems look like fossilized relics. The quantum analysis systems continued to process the collected data. They captured every microscopic interaction, the electromagnetic exchanges between the children, the subtle shifts in body language, the complex communication that went far beyond verbal exchange. This was a living, breathing system of collective intelligence that adapted in real time. Zornak's neural pathways tingled with a sensation that defied his species' understanding. These children were demonstrating a revolutionary approach to intelligence, one that didn't see differences as obstacles but as opportunities for collective growth. The final report would be more than an intelligence brief. It would be a declaration of a new understanding of what intelligence could mean. The hegemony would either adapt or be left behind by the profound potential of human collaborative intelligence. As the data compilation neared completion, Zornak knew one thing with absolute certainty. Nothing would ever be the same again. The existential threat of humanity crystallized in ways Zornak could never have anticipated. It wasn't about weapons or technological superiority. It was about a fundamental approach to existence that made the galactic hegemony's millennia-old civilization look like a rigid, dying system. His neural pathways processed the profound revelation with increasing complexity. These children weren't just playing. They were demonstrating a revolutionary model of intelligence that transcended every known paradigm of social interaction and problem-solving. Emily Rodriguez moved at the center of this cognitive storm, her copper-red hair catching the afternoon light like a beacon of unprecedented potential. She wasn't a leader in the traditional sense, not someone who commanded or controlled, but someone who facilitated, who transformed potential into collective achievement. The quantum-entangled observation nodes continued to capture every microscopic detail. Each interaction became a data point that challenged fundamental assumptions about intelligence, social dynamics, and collective potential. Marcus's mathematical precision, Sophia's creative leaps, Alina's emotional intelligence, they weren't individual skills, but components of a larger, more complex system of collaborative intelligence. Zornak's historical databases began to fragment under the weight of this new understanding. The hegemony had encountered thousands of civilizations, mapped countless evolutionary trajectories, but nothing, absolutely nothing, had prepared them for the profound adaptive potential of human social intelligence. The true power wasn't in technology or physical capability. It was in their ability to transform limitations into opportunities, to see differences as sources of strength rather than division. Where the hegemony saw rigid hierarchies, humans saw dynamic, collaborative networks. Where his civilization imposed order, humans created adaptive systems that evolved in real time. A momentary conflict between two children became a microcosm of this revolutionary approach. Instead of competition, they found collaboration. Instead of imposed solutions, they discovered collective creativity. Emily didn't resolve the conflict. She transformed it into an opportunity for collective growth. The Admiral's neural processors struggled to comprehend the depth of what he was witnessing. This wasn't just a different approach to intelligence. It was an entirely new understanding of what collective potential could mean. The children operated on a level of social complexity that made the most advanced diplomatic corps look like primitive communication attempts. Zornak realized the true existential threat wasn't something humans would do to other civilizations. It was the potential of their approach, a way of existing that could fundamentally reshape how intelligent species understood collaboration, problem-solving, and collective potential. His report to the hegemony would be more than an intelligence briefing. It would be a philosophical declaration that could either spark a profound evolution in galactic understanding or trigger a defensive response from a civilization terrified of fundamental change. The electromagnetic exchanges between the children, the subtle dance of their interactions, the way they transformed challenges into opportunities, these were not isolated skills. They represented a fundamental approach to existence that was nothing short of revolutionary. As the afternoon light began to shift, casting long shadows across the playground, Zornak understood that he was witnessing something far more significant than a simple children's game. This was a glimpse into a fundamentally different way of understanding intelligence, collaboration, and potential. The universe would never be the same. The galactic hegemony's central chambers fell into a profound silence as Admiral Zornak's report played across their primary communication matrices. Thousands of senior administrators, each with centuries of galactic experience, found themselves confronted with a perspective that would fundamentally challenge everything they understood about intelligent life. The holographic projection reconstructed the playground scene with microscopic precision. Every interaction, every subtle communication exchange between the children played out in exquisite detail. The senior council members watched, their advanced sensory systems struggling to process the complexity of what they were witnessing. This is not a threat. Zornak's voice resonated through the chamber. This is an invitation to a new understanding of intelligence. The report went beyond traditional intelligence assessments. It was a philosophical declaration that challenged the very foundations of the hegemony's millennia-old approach to understanding sentient life. The children weren't just playing. They were demonstrating a revolutionary model of collective potential that made their most advanced diplomatic protocols look like primitive communication attempts. Emily Rodriguez became the unexpected hero of this cosmic narrative. Her ability to facilitate, to transform conflict into collaborative opportunity, represented a form of leadership that transcended traditional hierarchical structures. She didn't command, she inspired. She didn't control, she empowered. The quantum analysis systems continued to break down the playground interactions. Marcus's mathematical precision, Sophia's creative leaps, Alina's emotional intelligence. Each child represented a different approach to problem-solving that somehow merged into a unified, adaptive whole. This wasn't just a human skill. It was a fundamental approach to existence that could reshape galactic understanding. Senior Administrator Krelax, the most conservative member of the hegemony's leadership, spoke first. "This is impossible," he declared, his multiple sensory tentacles trembling with a combination of fear and fascination. No species can demonstrate this level of adaptive intelligence without centralized control. But the evidence was overwhelming. The children's interactions demonstrated a form of collective intelligence that was simultaneously logical and emotional, structured and creative, individual and collective. They didn't just communicate. They evolved together, transforming challenges into opportunities with a fluidity that bordered on the miraculous. The report challenged everything. The hegemony had always viewed intelligence as a hierarchical system, a clear chain of command, predetermined roles, rigid structures that maintained order through control. But these children demonstrated something entirely different. Their intelligence was fluid, adaptive, collaborative, a living system that transformed itself in real time. Zornak's recommendation was radical. Instead of viewing humanity as a potential threat, the hegemony should approach them as potential partners in a new understanding of collective intelligence. Their approach to problem-solving, to social interaction, to collaborative potential could revolutionize how advanced civilizations understood cooperation. The chamber buzzed with a mixture of fear, excitement, and profound uncertainty. This wasn't just about one species or one planet. This was about a fundamental reimagining of what intelligence could mean, a cosmic perspective that could transform galactic civilization. As the final moments of the report played out, showing Emily and her friends transforming a simple playground conflict into a moment of collective creativity, the senior administrators realized something profound. The future of galactic intelligence might not be found in advanced technology or complex strategic protocols. It might be found in the simple, extraordinary potential of human collaboration.